Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin. This is my co-host Teddy, and today I'm just going to give you guys a bit of an update and sort of what it's been like for me here now in Taiwan since I've been here for over like 3 months now. Was it worth it? So first of all, I just want to say that I had a lot of reasons for wanting to come here, but I'm not going to go over all of them, but it was mainly for me, I just wanted a big lifestyle change. I always said to myself before I turned 30, I wanted to live in an Asian country. I was getting on through my 20s, so I figured I needed to do it sooner rather than later. With that being said, though, yeah, it's definitely been a good experience. It's been difficult for me to adjust in certain ways. Like, there's obviously a big culture shock, and there was a lot of differences. My lifestyle changed pretty completely, which is a good thing. And I think it's definitely been very good for me as a person, and I would recommend anybody out there I don't think it's a good idea to just live in your own country your entire life. I think it's definitely good to go to another country, especially say if you grew up in a Western country, then to move to an Eastern one, and vice versa if you grew up in an Eastern country to move to a Western one. I think it gives you a lot of perspective on things, and it's just sort of would be a good thing for yourself, I guess, to grow as an individual. Anyway, with all that out of the way, is it difficult to move here? I would say yes and no. It's going to obviously depend on which country you're coming from. Generally, I wouldn't say it's hard in the sense that it's like extremely difficult. It just takes a long time. There's like a lot of sort of stuff, a lot of hoops you need to jump through. I will say though, if you do not have a bachelor's degree or higher, then it's going to be very difficult for you to move here. Maybe if you were coming as a student, that would be okay. Or if you a job, got lined up for you here. But if you were just like me, sort of just came here and we're going to figure it out as you went along, if you do not have a bachelor's degree or higher, it may be quite difficult for you. Now, as far as is it better here than back in New Zealand? So this is just my personal opinion, obviously. I can't speak for other people who have moved here from other countries. I will say straight away, one of the first things you notice that's a big difference between sort of New Zealand and Australia and here is that, Auckland, Sydney, and Brisbane, no matter how much people like to give them a bit of a hard time, they're relatively clean places. And that's definitely one of the biggest differences here. Now, Taipei has a reputation as a dirty city. I would say that, and from the people I've spoken to, it's cleaned up a lot in recent years, but I definitely say that is a reputation that is true. Like, it is earned. But it's not as bad as people say. Like, it definitely is a bit on the dirty side. And I think, like Auckland, like New Zealand and Australia in general are really clean countries. So I'd say that is sort of, I don't know, to be expected. I mean, I've been to Hong Kong and I've been to Japan as well, and compared to Tokyo is much sort of cleaner in here, Kyoto as well, and, even Osaka, I would say. So, yeah, it definitely has that reputation, so keep that in mind. However, for many people, that will not be a huge thing, and you do get used to it after a while. It's nothing that really impacts you in your day-to-day life, so to speak, so that's just one thing you will notice. The air pollution is a little bit rough as well, especially in the morning. They use a lot of sort of coal power plants here, and also I think a lot of sort of pollution blows over from mainland China. That's what I've been told anyway. That's not too good. You do notice that in the morning, the smell, there's a lot of vehicles, a lot of like scooters and stuff like that here, and I think that all contributes to it. So you generally get that. I would also say it's not as pretty as many other cities. I mean, if you've been to like Hong Kong, you've been to Japan, you've been to South Korea, those sort of Asian cities, or Singapore, are quite, beautiful, especially at nighttime. That's not to say Taipei doesn't have its nice parts. It definitely does. You go to like Xining or Ximen or anywhere around the Taipei 101 at nighttime, that's really cool. Like, it's a nice area. But by comparison, yeah, there's definitely, it's not as pretty as those other cities. That's basically what I would say in terms of the cons, the sort of areas where it hasn't been as good. But in most other ways, it's been sort of an upgrade. The most staggering of which is the cost of living. If you do not know, Auckland, this goes for Auckland and Sydney, both in New Zealand and Australia, the cost of living is extremely high. It's very, very expensive. It's like many of the expensive American cities, like maybe Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York. It's just the cost of living is through the roof. And the cost of living here is very, very low by comparison, like massively low. Most of your bills will be a quarter or a fifth of what you may pay back home. So rent is the most expensive thing you might pay, but that's kind of to be expected. But even then, it's not that much. But like power, water, gas, internet, and your mobile plans and all of that is all very, very, very cheap. Like, it doesn't cost that much money. Wages are also decent, so it's not sort of offset, like for foreigners at least. You can get a good paying job here if you look around. And so you could work like I do, just part-time, and you have plenty of money spare. So that's quite good. So the cost of living is quite low, and the wages can be actually quite decent. Like really decent for foreign workers if you can find a decent job for yourself. So it's quite good there. You have quite a good lifestyle that you can have, with low cost of living and a decent wage. Taxes are also low. Your first 6 months will be a bit rough because you pay a higher tax rate, but then after that it drops down. Then the tax rate is quite low, and then you keep even more of your money. Most of us coming from Western countries will pay, especially European countries, will probably be used to paying quite high taxation, and that's not the case here. Taxes are quite low. There's very little crime. New Zealand is a somewhat safe place, same as Australia, but nothing compared to here. Here you can walk around any place, anywhere, anytime, no worries. I've walked around like the places, like the most dodgy places I could find here at like the middle of the night. I've never felt unsafe here. There's very little crime, so it's a lot safer here as well. That's a nice thing. You can just go anywhere you like, and you're never going to have any problems like that. The food is very cheap. It's also very good. That's a nice thing there, although be a bit careful because sometimes it can be a little bit dodgy, and I've been sort of had stomach problems a few times here, but that may just be me, sort of adjusting to the food. But it is very cheap, and it's cheap and good. Like, it's not just cheap and bad. It's cheap and very good. So that's been quite good. The public transport's fantastic. The trains and buses are always on time. They're very fast. They're clean for the most part, especially the trains. And they're cheap, like super cheap. They cost nothing almost. So your weekly commutes, if you're using public transport, the cost is just very, very low. So that's good. The healthcare system's also cheap. Once you immigrate here, if you go through the whole process, you'll get your health insurance card, your NHI card, and after that, going to the doctor or anything like that, it's like maybe a few dollars American, like $4 US to go to your GP to get, I don't know, like a checkup, or if you've got a cold or something like that. That's for your medication and for the consultation. That's not just for the consultation. It's super cheap. But it's very streamlined. It's very impersonal, I would say, that you're kind of just like, put you in the room, sit down, what's your problem? Oh, I'm feeling sick, or I got a cold or something. Okay, write prescription. Maybe they do two or three checks, and you write a prescription. There you go, out you go. It's sort of very streamlined like that. But it's cheap, so that's good. And it's just got a cool atmosphere about it here. It's very exciting. It's very outgoing. People like to do things. That's not to say, people aren't outgoing back in Auckland or Sydney or any of those sort of cities. It's one of those things that's very hard to sort of describe, but it's just a very sort of outgoing atmosphere here. I think anyone that's lived in like Hong Kong has the very much the same thing. It's very sort of outgoing, very fun like that, but it's something sort of like that. Anyways, I just thought I'd tell you guys this. This is just basically how things have been for me here. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on outside now. Anyways, I want to kick it to you guys. I want to throw this question to you. Have you moved from your home country to a different country? And how did the two compare? Did you like the new country more, or did you like your old country better? I'd like to know. For all you guys that have moved to different countries out there, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd really like to know what your experiences have been like. I thank you guys for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video. As always, I'll see you guys next time.